Hello friends, today we will start with the new topic fuels. After attending this session, you will be able to classify the fuel on the basis of their occurrence and on the basis of a physical state. What is the necessity to study the fuel? What are the importance of a fuel? This fuel are the substances which on burning produces a large amount of energy. That is, the substances which on burning produces a large amount of heat energy are called as fuels. Meaning the substances which produce energy are known as fuels. In ancient times, human being uses straw, leaves, wood and waste material to generate the heat energy for their cooking purposes. Means this material are the fuel used in the ancient times. But as the man found petroleum and coal as a fuel, vast changes occur in their daily life as well as in the industry. In industry concern, when metallurgical processes or the mechanical processes or production engineering or locomotive industries, these metallurgical processes deals with the extraction of metal from the ore. These metallurgical processes deal with the extraction of metal from their ore, and large amount of energy is required to separate the metal from their ore. For example, iron is extracted from the hematite ore, and large amount of energy near about 2000 degrees centigrade heat energy is required to separate the iron from its ore. Yes, large amount of energy is required, and this energy is produced by burning the fuel like a coke in the blast furnaces. Not only this metallurgical industry is concerned, but in other industrial material like ceramic, glass, bricks are also manufactured with the help of this fuel. Means large amount of energy is consumed in the manufacturing processes. These fuels are the most important parts of our life. In the locomotive industry, when we move from one place to another with the help of buses, ships or aeroplane, they are moved by consuming this fuel in the form of a diesel, kerosene, LPG, CNG and etc. In fact, the industrial development of a country as well as the standard of a life is measured in terms of consuming the energy or fuels per person per annum. Means in the measurement of a development of a country or a standard of life is measured by the consumption of fuels per persons. Now the properties of fuels. Now we will see the properties of fuels. The important properties are the ignition temperature. That is, the ignition temperature is the property of a fuel. That is, the minimum temperature at which fuel start burning is known as the ignition temperature. Below this temperature, fuel cannot burn. The minimum temperature at which the fuel burns are known as the ignition temperature. Another important property is the calorific value. Another important property is the calorific value of a fuel. That is, the total amount of heat generated by burning per unit volume or per unit weight of a fuel is known as a calorific value. This calorific value is measured in calorie per gram, kilocalorie per kilogram. These are the units to measure the calorific value. That is, the calorific value of a fuel is measured in terms of calorie per gram or kilocalorie per kilograms. Now we will see the classification of fuel. On the basis of their occurrence, fuel are classified as natural fuel and artificial fuel. The fuel which is used in their natural state are known as a natural fuel, whereas the fuel which on processing on the natural fuel obtained are known as the artificial fuel. Means the fuel obtained by processing the natural fuel are known as the artificial fuel. These natural fuel are further classified as solid fuel, liquid fuel and gaseous fuel according to their physical state. Solid natural fuel is a coal. Liquid natural fuel is an example of a crude oil. Natural gas is an example of natural gaseous fuel. Whereas in case of a artificial fuel, we see the example, that is a coke and charcoal, which is obtained by processing a coal. Whereas a liquid artificial fuel is a petrol and kerosene. This petrol and kerosene are obtained by fractional distillation of a crude oil, whereas this LPG and biogas are obtained by the different kind of processing takes over this natural gases. Means this is the classification of a fuel. Means in this session you learn about the properties of a fuel, that is the ignition temperature. Second property is the calorific value and the classification of a fuel. This class means you learn the classification of fuel here. In the next lecture we will see the solid fuel, that is classification in the solid fuel.